Take a trip to Asgard and hear the Ballad of Thor and Sif. And perhaps learn along the way how the Maker's new world has affected the Realm Eternal. What'll happen next? We'll hop through the pages of Ultimates issue number 11 and find out together, shall we? Alrighty then, so one of the best things about this new Ultimate series under Dennis Camp is how it's really not afraid to reinvent the wheel and do something completely different with the format issue to issue, and this one is no different. You see, instead of having traditional comic book dialogue bubbles, instead the entire story of this issue is told through the lens of an epic poem. Also, instead of a paneled grid, every page is actually its own beautifully realized splash page. Naturally, this is super inventive, incredibly creative, and had to be an incredible undertaking for the entire creative team on this one. Man, they really aren't resting on their laurels in the new Ultimate Universe, are they? Of course, this does make my job recapping the story and reviewing it a little bit more difficult because, you know, what am I gonna do? Just recite all the poetry to you? I can't. You gotta read it yourself. It's just that good. But I will try and break down the narrative as best I can. Now, you'll remember a couple issues back, Thor and Sif had actually returned to Asgard to try and put right what once went wrong there. Loki had stolen the throne of Asgard, crowned himself king, and made life hell for everyone else. Thor and Sif attempt to try and get magical invisibility cloaks made by the dwarven smiths. Brock and Etri, these guys absolutely hated Loki before he was king, so naturally they're more than happy to mess with his operation now. The rest of the issue basically involves Thor and Sif doing their best to do reconnaissance and figure out what the hell Loki has done in their absence. Well, I can tell you one thing he's done. He's gotten fat. Geez, we've had Lady Loki, we've had Old Man Loki, and now we officially have Chubby Loki. It seems that after killing his adopted father Odin, Loki found no other challengers, and as such he spends his days eating Adun's apples. She's the Norse god of youth, in case you're wondering, and he keeps her in chains, which gives the whole proceedings a real gross child bride vibe to it, wouldn't you agree? But how did Loki pull off this amazing coup, you might be wondering? Well, the answer is he didn't do it on his own. They call him the False King, but also the Puppet King. It would seem that Loki inked a deal with all of Thor's greatest foes, including the Ice Giants, Hela, and her undead legions, but also the Agents of Hand, who we know are agents of the Maker and his cabal. It seems the Agents of Hand are already choking this place for resources. In fact, they're in Alfheim right now, forcing their greatest artists and scribes to mine for content, which the comic makes a great joke in verse saying that's the same as art, isn't it? In fact, it seems the only group of people that Loki doesn't currently have his boot on are the Vanir. They've more or less been left alone, allowed to live in nature and do their own thing, meaning that when Sif and Thor go to them for help, they end up getting turned down. Keep this in mind because this actually will end up being very important later. Now, this trip isn't just all work. Thor and Sif stop and find some time for pleasure, making love in a field. Wait, was this established before that they were a couple, or did I just completely forget that? Either way, Sif wakes up from the post-coitus glow to find her lover with a burnt-up arm. What exactly happened to Thor? Well, we won't know until the exact end of the comic, as from here, past and present all start intertwining with each other, as is kind of the style for Norse mythology. Thor tells us that Loki had actually sent him away to fight ice giants on the day he committed his coup, and well, Thor never really forgave himself. We also see Sif sneak inside the Asgardian palace and get back Idun. Wait a minute, Idun, goddess of apples and youthful innocence? Is that why the Garden of Eden is called what it is? Man alive, Christianity really did steal from everyone and everything that came before, didn't it? Either way, these golden apples that Idun has aren't just meant to be delicious. Thor and Sif want to use them to try and help raise an army. In fact, we even get to see the Warriors 3 for a little bit. Naturally, Fat Loki is royally pissed off that his immortality apple dispensing child bride has been stolen away, and as such he gathers his forces to take his anger out on the Vanir, you know, those nature-loving hippies who never exactly hurt anyone. Almost like that was the point of this story or something. When you're dealing with a tyrant, there is no such thing as neutrality. You either need to get your ass in the game or get it walked off in chains, which is exactly what Thor was hoping, as him and Sif have managed to raise their own army that they plan to take to war against Loki. Will it ultimately be enough though? Well, funny thing about that, remember Thor's burning arm from before? Well, we flash back yet again and see that Thor actually took a trip to Muspelheim to have himself a little one-on-one with the fire demon known as Surtur. Yes, that's right, Thor is so gung-ho about deposing his evil brother, he's even willing to kickstart Ragnarok just to get the job done. Oh, but we're still not done yet, because as the comic comes to a close, everybody, we check back on in with Iron Lad. He's slowly but surely been getting a little better each issue, and now he actually has the wherewithal to try and remember the absolutely embarrassing ass-kicking him and the rest of the Ultimates suffered at the hands of the Hulk, and how they might very well hope to change their fate as the comic comes to a close. And so that was the Ultimates issue number 11, everybody, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a more creative, more literary comic on the shelf right now, I think. If anything, single issues like this really speak volumes to the actual levels of creative freedom all the brand new teams in this Marvel's Ultimate Universe have now to really explore and go outside the box and deliver something that feels so fresh and new and compelling, and not just, another bog standard superhero story. And of course, I say this very well knowing that this issue isn't going to be everyone's personal cup of tea. I hope you like and appreciate poetry, because if not, this one might be a hard read for you. Still, if you're going to tell a story we've probably heard a million times before about Thor and Sif fighting against Loki and trying to win back Asgard, then you might as well switch up the formula and do something completely radical with it, which is what this issue does. And hey, even if you don't like poetry, there's still some very, very pretty pictures on this one that I'm sure will keep your attention until the very end. Overall, I would give this one another super positive 8 out of 10, and I can't wait to see what the Ultimates get themselves up to next.
Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.